Welcome back. As you can see, I've been working on the warp nacelles, putting the LEDs in. Basically what I did is I glued the mansard collector and the two side wall pieces in, the blue pieces. Let those dry. With the side wall pieces, the blues, I just put that on top of there to try and help them set while the glue dried, but unfortunately it didn't work. They kept popping out, the glue didn't hold them. So what I did is I got a bit of this packaging foam and I put one there and I put one there, and it pushed them out into the actual warp nacelle plastic, and they've dried a hell of a lot more stiffer. I then went with my LEDs. The LEDs, if you remember from the lifeboat build, I bought 3 LEDs and a battery wire with a switch from America. The trouble is with this Brexit crap going on, they're a hell of a lot more expensive. So what I did is I picked up a pack of 50 of these LEDs for $7.99 off Amazon. They've got some good reviews, so I thought I'd give them a try. And they're working out really well so far. So what I did is I got my PVA glue. Once I drilled all the holes, as you can see. So I got my PVA glue and ran it there, and ran it there. But then the trouble is, I realised the side walls, the blue side walls, I couldn't get my clamps in. So I just got a bit of wood, whacked it on there like that, and then got my pressure clamp, and then did this one first for the mansard collector, let it 24 hours to dry, took the wood off and the clamp off, and the PVA glue was dried really well, and these LEDs are really stiff on this plastic, because originally I was going to use some electrical tape but it wouldn't hold. So once that had dried, I took the wood off. I then got this bit of wood again and wedged it between them two there with the PVA underneath on the plastic, left them 24 hours to dry, and these dried an absolute treat as well. I'm really well chuffed on how the stiff these have dried. I've put a bit of blue and a bit of red respectively on the LEDs to help shine through the plastic and the mansard, not the plastic, the blue clear and the mansard red clear. So a little tip for you, before you go to install the blue parts, get your scissor clamps on the LEDs first. Once them are dried, then put your blue pieces in. You won't have to do this wood crap. So all I've got to do now is just get these two pieces, put them on and glue them together. Stay with me. Right, as you can see, I've now primed the upper hull. I've done my masking off for the windows, the rear side and the rear conference area windows. I've done that both sides for the side windows. I've also masked off this area here, because that's where them arms are going to click in. I want that bare plastic to bare plastic, because you can see that I've masked off that section as well. I've also masked off that, I've just took the tape off there with the holes, because when I test fitted the arm to that there, that bottom piece, that bottom section actually went right in, so that's where I'm going to be gluing. So that's why I wanted that masked off bare plastic to bare plastic, because you can see that I've masked it off there as well. Also I've done the sensor bridge. I had to do a bit of filling both sides of the arms, rear and front. So I did that bit of filling, sanded that off. Once I sanded that, I then primed the sensor bridge, because as some of you may know, trying to do seam work on white plastic, you just can't do it very well. So once the primer went down, these seams, you got that seam there, there's a seam there, there was a seam there and a seam there. So I sanded all those down because the primer really brought it out. I had a seam there on that gap, and I had a seam all the way down here, so I had to take care of those as well. And then I had a seam all the way down that section there and on that section there. So once I've done all the seam work, I then re-primed it, and it's looking a hell of a lot better. All the seams have disappeared. So now my sensor bridge and my upper hull section are now ready for paint. I've glued the top halves and the bottom halves of the warp nacelles together now. I basically ran the glue all the way around. There's a couple of pinholes and notches. I ran the glue around them. Ran the glue all the way around. The blue part, you know, I glued the blue part into the top half of the warp nacelle. I ran the glue around the edge of the bottom half of the warp nacelle, and then clamped these together with a combination of my scissor clamps and my pressure clamps. 24 hours later, just took them off, and as you can see, they've glued together really nice. Now, as you can see, I've got a bit of seam work to do, but I've already done the seam work. I've sanded it down and it feels smooth, but it's only when the primer goes down that I'll see how good of a job I did on the seam itself. Alright, just a quick update for you. As you can see, the warp nacelle and arms are now primered and looking really, really nice. The covers for the arms, really nice. Panel lines have come out really nice and crisp with the primer. You can see I've took the tape off all the clear parts now when I've masked off. I pretty much put the tape over the whole of the plastic, clear plastic piece of the blue warp nacelle. Because if you remember from the previous update, when I wedged the sponge in to push the clear parts to the outer wall of the insides of the warp nacelles, they actually glued in really well. But the bottom bits where I just ran the glue in, I don't think that's 100% secure. And I was thinking about running the knife to cut it out perfect, but I thought if I ran the knife, I might risk of pushing that in and making it loose. So I'm hoping when I paint the base colour for the hull, it'll actually blend in on the white as well as it will on the primer. You can also see that my seam issues have pretty much disappeared. When I sanded on the white and I wasn't sure, I thought, well, once the primer goes down, it'll reveal those seams. But to be honest, it's not looking too bad. It's not perfect, but it's better than it was, way better. And go on the other one. Again, done a bit of extra, little bit of sanding because that seam wasn't 100% gone. But around the rest of it, the seam has almost disappeared. Really, really chuffed. Another issue I had was on the mansard collector. When I put the tape to cover that up to mask it off, a little bit of the primer got underneath the tape around these edges. So I just scrumpled up a bit of kitchen towel and made it into a ball, put it in between my tweezers, dipped the tweezers into a bit of cellulose thinner and just cleaned up those edges. And the cellulose thinner has took away the primer really, really well. So, all in all, I'm really well chuffed on how these warp nacelles and arms have turned out. Welcome back. These windows have been a right pain in the arse. Because, as you can see, I've now test fitted the runabout to the top halves and the bottom halves together. And there's a bloody gap issue. It's most notably the tops of the consoles and the figures. Before I glued the figures in, when I put the decals on the tops of the consoles and sealed them, I then did a test fit, and there was a massive gap. It's probably about as thick, maybe twice as thick as that cotton bud there. So then I shaved off the top of the console to a corner edge. It didn't affect the decals. And then I put this back on, and there were no gap. So I then painted the figures, glued them in with a PVA, and now the tops of the heads are literally touching the glass. And that's what's causing that extra gap. So what I've done is I took a mill off the bottom of the seats, put them back down again. Still the gap issue. I've took 2 mil off the bottom of the seats, still a gap issue. If I take any more off, literally the figures are going to be sitting on the floor. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take this clear part out, because I've shaved off the bottom. I've even cut the bottoms off to accommodate the tops of the consoles. I'm going to have to replace that with this sheeting, the same sheet I use for the lifeboat windows. What a pain in the bloody arse. There's my front windscreen, and as you can see how thick it is. It's going to be a good probably 2.5 mil thick. And even if I were to cut these edges out and just leave them, they're still way too thick. Right, so what I've done with my clear plastic is I've cut it out. It's 2.5 centimetres that way, long ways, and it's 4 centimetres across there width ways. And I've just blue tacked it in, just for demonstration purposes, and I've folded it in the middle. Well, it's not in the middle, it's about 1.5 centimetres the fold is. And if I put this back down, you could see no gap. So whether you buy the Federation Models version of the interior or you buy the cheap one that I've done, just be wary of that front windscreen. That's my little tip to you. Right, as you can see, the warp nacelles are pretty much finished. I've done all my painting. So the main hull colour, as you know, is the Umbro 129. Going all the way around and underneath, as you can see, on the warp nacelles. The dark grey pits, I used Revels 36378 dark grey. So I've done those, and then I topped up around the edges where I've gone slightly over with the 129. The yellow would be the 24 Umbro Trainer yellow. And then the ochre for the tan for that section there. They're looking really good as well, both nacelles. You can see I've also glued the wires down with the clamps wood and PVA. In short being, I've had to push the holes through the centre hole, which I was going to originally use for the orange LED. Because what I didn't realise is when I drilled those two holes, I'm actually going to hit the inner wall of the conference area, and there ain't going to be enough room between the inner wall and the outer wall of the upper hull. So I've just pushed those through that hole. I've widened it a bit, and like I said, with the PVA glue in the wood, both sides, just let them 24 hours to set, and they're dried an absolute treat. So my warp nacelles are finished. Right, welcome back. Going on to the interior, I've glued in the sheet, the clear sheet. That's looking really nice. Just use a bit of PVA, held it down with the clamps, and let that 24 hours to dry. You can see that I've put my supplementary LCARS panels in, which will sit just above the console, because you know in Deep Space Nine they've got LCARS on the walls as well in the main cockpit, well, the command area. So I've glued down, I've cut those out, and just used a bit of a microset and microsol around that edge there, around that little lip where the mounting tab is. I just put a little tiny bit on because I wasn't sure if it would eat through the decal, but it's gone down really well. I've also put my supplementary LCARS panels in the rear conference area, so I've got those, and I got those there, which was on like a raised square section where that is there, that piece there. There's a raised square section underneath. Now with the LED, because all this space is unused, I wasn't sure if I put the LED in that little pit there, I wasn't sure if it would light up the whole of the cabin. So what I did is I wanted to bring the LED up. So I just got a bit of sponge, glued that in, measured it, and then I just dug out a channel before I glued it in, let that 24 hours to dry the PVA. Then I glued in my LED, let that with the super glue, that black dry, and then just covered that up with the polyfiller, the household filler, around the sides, as you can see. Then I painted the PVA on to try and get it to soak up some of the paint, because I tried to prime in it and it wouldn't soak up any of the paint. So painted my PVA on, let that dry for 24 hours, and it soaked up some of the paint. The good thing about this, you won't see that unless you look at that. Like, you lean that up against there, and when the light's on, you're not going to see that. If it's flat like that, if it's flat like this, you're not going to see it. So that's the one good thing about that. I've just took my LED in there just for test purposes, because it kept sticking out the side. But it's getting there slowly.